That's what you do. You buy these clothes that cost money and make a difference in it. But we never do that.
Never complains, gets up, gets on, with a smile on his face.
They just want you to sit in your chair and go hip hip hooray to the Western press and the Western narrative, regurgitating the same old every single day without the truth. If you haven't seen it before, please watch the first two episodes, the second series, something like that. Stallone.
We are on the site of the castle.
And it was the first time the Beatles had really stopped being semi-professional almost.
Look at that.
Absolutely fascinating.
Hello everyone, it's me again. It's the history show tonight. Yes, loads of history tonight, and let's hope that you enjoy it. I'm not in a good mood actually, and I'll tell you for why. I have to have the prescriptions delivered, and I phoned them up this morning, couldn't get through. And I kept saying, you're next in line and all this nonsense. Then it just cut out. I was phoning all morning, so I'll give it a ring this afternoon just to make sure. And then honestly, I was on the phone. Started off at 2:00. Wait for them to get back from lunch, and then I phoned them. And this fella came on, and I'm talking after 45 minutes. This fella came on, and he said, yes. I said, I want to know if my prescription's being delivered. And he said, what's your name? Now, I've been with these for 4 years. 4 years I've been with them. And every time, I say to them, why can't you have a list of, when these come in with names to be delivered? Why can't you just do that instead of me phoning you every month? Every single month. And then they went, this fella, I hadn't heard this fella before. And he said, well, what do you need? I said, what do you mean? What do we need? I said, you've got the prescription off me doctor. I said, you should have it there. He said, well, what's your name? So I gave him my name. Then he came, what's your address? Gave him my address. I said, listen, I need these today. I've run out of them, and I always get them like today. Every month. Every Thursday. Every month. And he said, yeah, they will be delivered today. I said, will you promise me that they'll be delivered today? I said, I can't walk. I can't get up there to you. I can't go. I said, I've got no one to pick them up either. Never delivered them. And I need to take 3 tonight. And 3 in the morning. And they never delivered. I've got none. I've run out of them. With tablets that I should be taking to keep me alive. I'm fuming. Absolutely fuming, I am. And it's wrong. And I'm wondering if anyone can advise me. Can I change? Can I ask my doctor to change? Like to a chemist that, will guarantee a delivery, because I'm always having problems with this lot. Only needs a bit of advice. And I don't like phoning my doctor up, but if someone says, yeah, you can, I'll phone my doctor up tomorrow, first thing in the morning, tell them what's happening. I can't rely on this lot. Well, let's be gripe over. And I should be good tonight. It should be good, because I have this show. Yes, got that to show. It'll be good. I'm going to read out some things from the paper I did. This. Which is good. Oh, this. It's good. It really is good. And you've got, like, on the other side, you've got this. And tragedy at the opening of the rail services. So you've got a little tidbits, like around here, certain things. So it's very good. Even like that, I always see the Irish famine pushes up the city's population by nearly 40% when the Irish came over. So I'll be saying a few things about that as well. Just that, just reading out a few things. You can get straight like that is. We can get straight. Very tight in here. It's very tight. And I've got me opera with me tonight. The wonderful artist, friend, Mr. Anthony Brown. I've got him on. And just before I bring Anthony on, I just want to thank Gap Painting Services for sponsoring the Frank Carlyle show. Yes, Gap Painting Services. And you've honestly, what you have to do, you have to get these in. Don't struggle painting. It's like painting season, isn't it? So get them in. Get them in for reasonable prices. And if you're an NHS worker, you get a special discount from the reasonable price. And if you're an elderly person, you get another special discount from reasonable prices, if you know what I mean. But don't struggle. Please don't. I try to emphasize that. Don't struggle. I'll just go on to these wonderful chatters. Darryl. Frankie, are you Darryl? He says, love you, Dad. Just shows you not being around the country, doesn't it? Hi, Frank and everyone. Like and subscribe, says Christopher. Thank you, Christopher. And the red birds say, did you just say no? Oh, no, it didn't. And Darryl says 91 more sub likes and subscribes, everyone. Do you know what? I don't know what happens to them. I had 900 and I think 7 or 8. Now it's gone down again. See, that's what I mean. I'm not saying people unsubscribe, but I think YouTube unsubscribed. And I asked Jason to do something for me, and he hasn't done it yet. which is disappointing, to say the least. He's busy dying horses, to be honest. And the Redbirds. That a lie? You, me granddad's secret son? That's a cheeky jet. And Christopher says, Frank, aren't they on repeat? But yeah, because they know exactly what I get, you see. They know exactly what I get. And I have been for 4 years, Christopher. And Darryl says, you should be on repeat, Frankie. I am. And it stresses me out. Do you know when I don't get them? Well, see, I've got on to take them. I've got them on first thing in the morning. I have to take them last thing at night and first thing in the morning. You know, different ones, that is. Different ones. Yes, Frank, you can change your pharmacy, go via the GP, ask for the repeat prescription, and pick a farm. Really? I remember Boots doing it. And honestly, I went along to Boots. It was just by me. This is when I could walk further. And it gone. It moved. I was going to say, would you take out my prescription? Because he used to go along there with my prescription. And I had to get this one. Thanks for that, Chris. Really, thank you. Really mean that. Thank you so much. And the Redbirds, gets in a you-know-who hotel. They have 24-hour doctor and dentist on call and more. Christopher says, most pharmacies take 2 days to order and deliver meds. I know, and I phoned up my doctors on the Tuesday, you know, because it was bank holiday. And they said, yeah, we'll put it through. That's why every Tuesday, I always ring up for, 48 hours, so I get it on the Thursday. Honestly, I really am fuming. And there's our black and white boy, Geordie. Away the lads. Away the lads. Hiya, mate. And look at that. Geordie says, congrats Liverpool fans for winning the 20th league title and shut the noisy mouth of Man United up. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Really, Jake, honestly, Geordie. And good luck, yourselves, finishing high as you can. And the Redbird, Geordie. But we are the worst team ever to win the Premier, according to Saltier, Arsenal fans and other rivals. Thanks for the congrats, lads. You're a real fan. And you should have said as well, Redbirds, we played no one yet. Played no one. Barry Eldridge. Hi, Frank. Hope you're well. Just been trying to get my meds through Boots. They are hopeless. Oh, God. They use their own suppliers. I now use Roland's. I'll have to look. Yeah, I'll have to ask my doctor. I'll have to ask my doctor, can they recommend? Because these ones, if you say Boots are useless, you want to try this lot. More useless than useless. They're like Plymouth Argyle. We won't go down there. We won't go down that route. And cheers, mate. says to Geordie. That's great. Thank you, Geordie, mate. Thank you. If you want to listen to some Liverpool history, by all means. And Dean, oh yeah, there's Dean. One. Yes. Yes. I need a few more quid for me to cruise. Are you sure you didn't say it? I don't swear. And even if Frankie says, Tony, yeah, look, Dean, wrong show. He's on another pod. See? Forget about this little pod. Doesn't matter. Think they are owned by. Who's that? I've got this thing across my eyes as well. I was warned that I'd get them. They're like, my vision. Like, it's strange. I can't explain. And I can only, whereas normally, some letters go missing, but where half of the words go missing. Some letters go missing on some. But I've got this thing, and it's like that. It's going around my eye, and I'm missing out half of the words in a terrible state. Anyway, no further ado. I'm going to bring in this lovely man, this very good friend of mine. He is a good friend, and a great artist. There he is, Anthony Brown. Hey, Anthony.
Hiya, Frank. Good evening, all. Sorry to hear you having a bit of grief, mate. I think that's just the way it's going, And we have a pharmacy, a chemist's, virtually next door, just like 30 yards away from where we are. But the struggle is getting the stuff into them to get out, because he's known us for years, and kind of the same as yourself. There's a lot of acute medicine that needs, and some days you just say can't get it.
Yeah,
we can't get it. It went sideways. It went absolutely insane when that Brexit shenanigans went, and now it's even worse because they're replacing certain medications with different manufacturers in Europe, which long term hopefully will be good. But your doctors should have a pharmacy attached to them.
They have right next door.
Right.
Right next door. A mate of mine's coming down tomorrow to take me for lunch, believe it or not. He phoned me today. He's a former colleague of mine.
Yeah.
And he said today, do you fancy going for some lunch? Come down, we'll go for lunch. Brilliant. And I said, I'm waiting in. I said, I can't. So he said, do you want me to come tomorrow? And I said, yeah. So what I'll do, when he comes at lunchtime, I know that this won't be delivered in the morning. I'm going to go right up to this pharmacy, and ask. I'm going to say, give me my thing. Give me the prescription.
Yeah.
And I'll ask him to run me up to my doctor.
Yeah.
And I'll say about right next up, but they have to be delivered, you know what I mean? And I'm some way, from in the catchment area from my doctors to where I live.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? They mightn't deliver that far.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I've got. I'll just see what these lads have said. Christopher says, it could take a while to change though. I'm a carer and I've always been phoning pharmacies. It's been mad since Brexit. There you go, just what you said.
Yeah.
Just what you said.
It's still the same. Lainey was on the phone for 3/4 of an hour yesterday for her auntie's meds. And just when they do that stupid thing, you are fourth in the queue, you are eighth in the queue, whatever, gets up to top of the queue, phone cut off, start again. It's just unbelievably. It's an American system which works like shinola. It's horrible, Frank. And there's doctors, GP practices which are frantically trying to stay open, and then there's others who don't seem to be given a toss.
No, not bothered. Yeah. I've got a smashing doctor as well. You know, he's a really nice fella.
Yeah.
And I have a chat to him now. He's Iranian, actually. He's only a young fella.
Yeah.
And when I first met him, you know, I said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Iran." And I mentioned Iran. And he was taken aback, you know. He said, "How do you know so much about Iran?" And I told him, I said, "I'm a historian." And he went, "Oh." You know, so it's nice. So we have a chat. And Michael J. Lloyd, did you get your degree at LIHE? Yeah, Liverpool. Yeah, Liverpool Uni. That's where I got mine. And others, by the way. Hi, Anthony, says Christopher.
Oh. Hi, Christopher. Good evening.
And the Red Bears, even in that, and I hope you and your family are well.
Thank you, Redbird. We're getting there yet. No, we're good. And today was a great day to see sunshine. You know, it's nice.
And Tony LFC. Hello, Anthony. And there's a couple of Scotches.
Hello, Tony. Thank you so much. Yeah.
And the Black and White Boy. Evening, gents and chat. First time I've been called a gent for a while. And you, Anthony.
You're a lifetime gent. You yourself. Yeah.
And Barry Alves, part of my meds for my prostate cancer is an injection, and I went through my GP office and changed pharmacist in and out. Thanks, Barry. What I'll do, I'm waiting for my results on that prostate. That's what I'm waiting for as well. God blimey. Anyway, what I want to do, Anthony, if you don't mind, I'll be talking like a few little things, and when we go on our break, I'll be talking about some of these. You know what I mean? And it's really good. It's really good. And there's a girl named Karen Kariakou, and I promised her a copy of the paper. And I'll give you a copy as well.
Yeah, well, I think they are fantastic. And I remember Karen's chat to you last week when we were on. No, that's brilliant.
So when we meet up again, I'll have a copy for you.
That would be brilliant, Frank. Love it. So last time I saw one of them was when I
you did the portrait.
Yeah.
And you know what? Your kids and grandkids have been made up with it. You know, to read the history of Liverpool.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know, everything is in their hands.
Who did it, Frank? Was it the university that produced
it? I did it.
Yeah. Fantastic achievement there.
Yeah. There's Michael J. Lloyd. I thought it was you. We've met. Does the name Ventry mean anything? Yeah, of course it does. The Ventrys. Yeah, it does, Michael. And they grew up. They were already there, you know. Don't forget, I come from an Italian family. And so where I grew up, there's lots of Italians. And the Ventrys was one of them.
Yeah.
The Ventries was one of them, Michael. Shall we start on this? Shall we start on this, Anthony? You're going to be made up with this. Look, I'll have to go and get me glasses. I know I've got a pair on, but I'll just so I can see. And excuse me, people. Honestly, excuse me. I won't be a second. I've got to hobble out, unfortunately. Hang on. Oh.
Give me a chance to polish mine.
Do you know what? I wish I could get more of these things done, you know, because I'll give them to the chat, because they're well. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry about this. Really am. I'd give some to the chat, you know what I mean, who wanted them.
Yeah.
But I can't get out to print them, get them printed. I really can't. Right. I'll be able to see now. Right. So this is what we're on.
Yeah.
And when you am I doing this right? I don't know whether I'm doing it right, you know. I really do. I haven't a clue. I haven't a clue what to do. Unfortunately, I'm useless, aren't I? Let's see if I can get that.
Zoomed into one of the docks.
I'll have to wait for Jason. Unfortunately.
That is absolutely fantastic, that map, though, isn't it? When you consider...
It is. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's like where, see this, you can't see me pointer, can
not at the moment.
Do you know what? Do you know what? I can't do it, you know. Right.
Oh.
Right. See that? Jason, I'm sorry, mate. Now, that particular building there, and the one next to it, I think I mentioned this last week, that was the Custom House.
Yeah.
And the Custom House was built in 1828 by John Foster Jr., Anthony, right?
Yeah.
And when it was bombed during the war, it was the 5th Custom House, to be honest. And when it was bombed during the war, I wished I could just have my little pointer, but I can't. That's a blue dome. You see at the top of the Custom House, that's a blue dome.
Yeah.
And an incendiary bomb went through it. And as it went through, it gutted 2/3 of the inside. That's all it did. And they came down, you know, the fire brigade, they put us out, no problem. They put us out. All the preservationists even said then, don't demolish it. Do not demolish it. So it was left to say, well, okay, we're not demolishing it. We're not demolishing it. And when you see the likes of, that's it there, look. It's an incredible building, bigger than St. George's Hall, much bigger. And they said, no, we won't, we won't demolish it. And where it is, it's right on the site of Shavas Park, that takes in the Hilton Motel, and it was huge. And the Americans loved it because lots of Americans were always coming into Liverpool, like through the years. And they were looking at this building and going, wow, look at this thing here. And they wanted to buy it. So we said, yeah, okay. And that was the start of the demolition. That was the start of the demolition. We were selling it to the Americans.
That's just insane.
Never happened. Never happened because it was taking too long, as the Americans said. I knew this fella. Paul, I'm actually going live. Go on. Yeah, Pope Francis III. Yeah. Oh, you're in Sampa. God blame me. I'm still waiting for you to call for that cup of tea 2 years ago. Did you? That French girl? Oh, brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely. Paul, honestly, mate, I've got to go. Okay. Okay, give me a ring anytime, you know that. All right. All right. All right, Paul. See you later. And thank you. Bye-bye now. There was a phone call from Paul McDonough from Tampa. He's in Tampa. He's doing a show there. He does Lennon. He's the image of Lennon, and he just sings like him and everything. And he says, I'm here. I said, okay. And he's got this French girl. He got a recording contract, and she's good. She is good. I've seen the girl sing, and so made up for that. And they're doing a concert in June. So, anyway, I'm sorry there to go on there. No need to keep saying you're sorry, Frank. Thank you, Redbird. Thank you. And Michael J says, good luck with your prostate results. I hope all is well for you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, so we went selling it to the Americans, and the Americans never bought it. And then they just finally demolished it. The fifth customers. And that's one of the crying shames about it all. And you'd never guess where that is. You'd never guess. And where you've got the building, where you see that street and it goes down, that street there, that building's still there, and the one on the left to it is still there with the dome. See, do you see the building? There's a chimney behind it, a tall chimney.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can. I mean, all the buildings in there look.
Well, anyway, that building to the right, and then there's a little building which is further down on the left of it, our left of it. That is, a little blue dome.
Yeah.
And that building's still there. And where that is Bowl Street.
Wow.
That's Bowl Street. It's a
Wow.
beautiful, there's beautiful buildings in Bowl Street.
So is that a theatre
See,
then, Frank?
that's that down there on the top of Bowl Street with St. Nick's Church. Not St. Nick's Church, St. Luke's Church.
Yeah.
The bombed out church, that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the building that I was explaining, you can see it. It's not on the left, but it's in the centre between St. Luke's and that big building on the left. It's right in the centre. Right in the centre. And that building is still there today. Beautiful building. And it used to be a bank. And there's some buildings in there in Bowl Street that are absolutely exceptional. And I told you about Alison Steadman, didn't I?
Yeah.
She was coming, she was in Liverpool. She was doing some filming up here. And I seen her. She was walking up, and I walked over to her. I said, "Are you Alison?" She says, "Oh, yeah." And I went, "What? Saying that you're in the entertainment business, I'm going to show you something." And she went, "Oh." She said, "What is it?" And I went, "That building there." And I explained about Il Duce, Mussolini, and back in Italy. I said, Il Duce, I said, he took the original balcony away from Juliet's home. And he actually built that out because he wanted to see people walk on the balcony.
Yeah.
Walk on the balcony.
Wow.
So I said to her, I said, so the Juliet balcony back in Italy, back in Verona, in Italy, I said, it's not the proper balcony. That was built in 1934 by Il Duce. I said, and I pointed up and I said, "You see that balcony there?" She said, "Yes." I said, "That's the real balcony." Because the two architects, two brothers, the Audley brothers, their friends said, "I want you to build a townhouse." And he said, "Okay, where do you want it?" He said, "Well, an exclusive area." So he said, "Okay." And Bowl Street was picked.
Yeah.
And so they built that with the original Juliet balcony, simply because, they'd seen it years before. And obviously drew it, they drew it. And they said, "How would you like that?" And he went, "Brilliant." So the Juliet balcony, the original, the way it was in Bowl Street somewhere.
Wow.
When I've showed people, the likes of Alison Steadman, they've been knocked out by it.
Is it listed? Of course it's listed, isn't it, Frank? Is the building listed or just the front?
Hang on, Andy. This bloody thing's gone again on me. Hang on. I can't hear you. It's a mad night, a mad day I've had. Hang on a minute, Andy.
No probs.
Can't hear you. Awfully sorry. I cannot hear you.
No luck now?
Yeah, go on. Yeah. What was you saying?
Good. All I was saying is the whole building listed or just the frontage?
I think there's quite a few there's loads that are listed in Bowl Street, and I mean lots. There's lots of banks, and they're all still going. I don't mean as banks, but the buildings are still there. That particular building I mentioned is listed. Right at the top of Bowl Street, you've got the Italian fish bar.
Yeah.
Right? No, just think about this: the Italian fish bar.
Yeah.
and he was born there, was of Italian parents, by the way. Italian parents. They were immigrants, and they came to Liverpool, got that house there, and he had a little boy. And that little boy became Liverpool's greatest inventor. The greatest inventor. And what he invented, believe it or not, was the light switch. But not only the light switch, but the grid. Let's say Buckingham Palace, for example. When the lights, when you put a light in, there's only one room that has a light. And they used to go in, and it was like a magic show. And they used to, put the lights on, and you always go, wow, look at this, Right? But they used to turn us off after about 5 minutes because the bulb went, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, power.
And they were all made up. So what he did was he invented the grid. He invented the grid where he lit up, if you like, half of London. So everywhere had lights, and more rooms had lights rather than just the one. I've got to remove this.
Wow.
And put that up. See? Yeah, look. Di Ferranti, Paolo. His name was Paolo, actually. President of the Institution of Electrical Engineers, 1910 and 1911, born on this house on the 9th of April, 1864. Paolo Ferranti, Liverpool's greatest inventor.
Oh, how amazing is that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just, say, Bow Street has a fantastic history. And there's a shop there. And in that shop, there's a well. Believe it or not. And the well still works.
Yeah.
It's in a clothes shop.
It was strange. It was a ladies' dress shop, wasn't it?
That's right. That's right.
Called Jets.
In the middle of the shop.
Yeah. I remember walking in there, following Laney or someone else, and then seeing saying to Lane, that looks like, there's a well in the middle of the shop. I said, behave yourself. But it was, so.
Only in Liverpool.
Only in Liverpool, yeah.
Only in Liverpool. Absolutely amazing.
Us mortals were not allowed on Bow Street, were we, at one time?
No, we weren't. And that, is another image. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, just let me take this off. Love Jason. There it is.
That's it, yeah. Wow.
You wouldn't believe it, would you? You wouldn't believe it. So well. That's fantastic. Thanks, Jason, for that. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate it.
There's be a few bob in that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And this is the wonderful Central Station.
Wow.
Central Station. And it's an incredible sort of station in itself. And what you've got next to it, which is no longer with us, unfortunately, is the original opening. The original opening of the beautiful opening. It was all Roman themed, Romanesque themed. And we decided, at the bottom of Bowl Street, that is, we decided to demolish it and put what's there today, which is a bloody eyesore. Little units of a couple of shops and a cafe. Absolutely ridiculous. Because I've always said that, our city planners are absolutely useless. And the council has been given permission. They've knocked some absolutely stunning places down.
Well, as we know in modern times, occasionally the council just gives free rein to developers and people from a different city to come in and do their work, not knowing or caring about the history of Liverpool because they're not from here.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I've got no words for them, to be honest. And Gary says, I remember the Kismet on the corner of Bowl Street.
Yeah. Gosh, did you ever get there, Gary? I remember going there for a bevy because all the pubs shut at like 11. Even in town, you could get one with a stay behind, but that was the only place you could get a drink if you were still out. Yeah.
That's true. That is absolutely true. The Kismet. And Barry Eldridge says, the thing is, Frank, people never look up the older buildings to admire them when they are in town. Not just Liverpool, anywhere with a bit of history. Absolutely.
You don't buy
Very good point.
No.
And Gary says, the cafe to back, it's the oldest continuous business in Bowl Street.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Probably for generations.
I didn't know it's the oldest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Gary said, we would end up in the Kismet or the Castle.
Yeah.
The Castle. That was some thing as well, wasn't it, really? And I just love this. This is, when you look at this particular, I just wish I could zoom in. Look, let me tell Jason's brilliant. I keep forgetting to look down. And look what they knocked down. Look what they knocked down.
Yeah.
And that other building behind. That's what I mean. They just knock things down. That's a beautiful Romanesque entrance to Central Station, and they knocked it down. Absolutely. It knocks me sick, actually. Knocks me sick. And that particular building there, that's Dale Street. And what you've got is the municipal building. The municipal building. He's totally, look at that. Isn't he great?
Wow.
That's the municipal building. And the front of it, I'm not talking where the tower is, but the front here, what we can see, that got bombed. And they just pulled it down. Right? And do you ever remember that little mad car park with a couple of trees in the middle of it? Right behind it? That was where that building was. I remember parking in there once, but I couldn't get out. There was a big stump and big tree in the rest. Oh, I should have seen the state of me trying to get out because someone blocked me in. It's crazy, it's a magnificent building,
Yes.
and the tower is actually copied. It's called the Venetian Tower, and it's copied off a Venetian clock tower, obviously in Venice.
It looks like that, doesn't it? You
Yeah,
kind of imagine this automated kind of
yeah,
carousel will come out of it.
yeah.
It is beautiful, and that I'm just blown away with that map. That
There it is. See, it was getting built then. It was getting built. And a bit further down from it, not this way, but the other way, not like towards there, towards Thomas Todd, but a bit further down Dale Street there, you had a circus. A circus was on Dale Street, and it was called Hengler's Circus. And when I was getting, when they started to get, more buildings going on, it had to move, and it moved up to Everton Road. The corner of West Derby Road and Everton Road. Fantastic. Thanks, Jason. Oh, great, honestly. Thanks, mate. Really good.
wow.
And the building to the left with the dome, that's the town hall. That is the town hall. And just behind it is exchange flags. And exchange flags, I'm wondering if Jason can put a picture up of the old exchange flags that was built in 1801 by John Foster Sr. And they pulled it down. They pulled it down. For some reason, they pulled it down. I've got pictures of it here, to be honest. And it had an orangey, it had everything in there. There were statues all around, the original exchange flags. And it's so sad that they pulled it down for no reason. Again, vandalism to build what's there today. Just ridiculous. Like Horton House and Walker House, they're just ordinary white stone buildings that mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. And yet they pulled down these magnificent, and I mean magnificent, part of exchange flags. And there it is. I knew Jason would get it. Look at that. Look what they pulled down. See what I mean, Anthony?
Absolutely, Frank. It's just wow.
You've got friezes, you've got arches, your statues all around. Amazing piece of architecture. One of the best in Liverpool.
Yeah.
One of the best in Liverpool. And unfortunately, it opens up in 1801. And it was being built from 1792 or something like that. Was it?
Yeah.
No, it was 1789. It was starting to be built up. And John Foster Sr., who built this, designed this, he also laid out Rodney Street.
Yeah.
Great architect. Him and his son. Very iconic. Let's see what the lads have been saying. And Edward says, it says on YouTube that it's your 500th video. 500? Really? But I know that we've been always gone out on YouTube. Don't forget, we've been doing just like talk shows, history shows, and everything else. So I don't know. I don't know whether it's 500. It feels like 500. And I suppose people who are looking at it are going, God blimey, it is 500 as well. Edward. And Gary says, why did he pull everything down in this city? Feels sick to the stomach when I think, oh no, Littlewood's Tower. It looks so weird not being there. Art Deco at its best as well, Gary.
They were supposed to be putting that back, weren't they?
I haven't a clue. Don't know anymore. I just don't know anymore.
I just love what you're showing with the architects' work. Genius is all the influences from across the globe. Because we've got Rome, we've got Greece, we've got even and that building then exchange flags. There's like almost Middle Eastern. The towers.
Oh yeah.
Spires and stuff in it.
Yeah, everything. Do you know that we had more domes? Believe it or not, I know it's hard to believe, like, but we had more domes in this city than anywhere else. More so than London. In this city, more dome, dome buildings.
Yeah, like a Venice on the Mersey.
Yeah. 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 See, you've only got to look there to the left, and there's 1, 2, 3 domes. Yeah, look.
Wow.
Just there alone. Just there alone. I love this. I love the way Jason just does all that.
Oh, Jason is brilliant.
Just love it. So you've got the town hall, you've got the beautiful exchange flags.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's no longer with us. Even the building next door to it, next to the town hall, that came down. I wish I could show you what's there now. And they pulled it down, to put that there, right next door to it, the town hall. A beautiful, beautiful building, and with that dome on the top as well. And it has 2 statues on the top of the door, 2 big statues.
I see them in the drawing, the map, yeah.
Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog. And those statues, when they were pulling this down, at least they saved them and they put them on the entrance to Calderstones Park. So at least they saved them. And there's another Gog and Magog, 2 statues. And not many people notice it. And do you know where that is? It's in St. George's Hall. And the rolls are up. You know the organ? The Willis organ? They're right underneath, they're holding it up,
Wow. Oh, that is so good to hear that's still there. Do you know, I saw a snippet today on social media. 18 years ago today, we were at St. George's Hall when Charlie came in and reopened it. You were actually showing him round. Lainey and I were just there as guests somewhere in the, 18 years today, Frank.
Well, no.
That you were showing Prince King Charles around.
King.
And you had to nearly knock him out because he was going to walk on the floor.
Trying to back. His music's terrible, Frank. And the Redbird says, Gary, they are destroying buildings up and down the north especially, but they destroy our buildings the most. Yeah. And as a great historian, a great archivist, best archivist I know, is this fella, David Owens. They are going to build a new Merseyrail station at the Baltic Triangle, costing 100 million. Praise the Lord. What's that all about?
I don't know.
Merseyrail station at the Baltic Triangle.
You can walk one end of town to the other within 25 minutes. So how many stations do you need in one area?
Exactly. I think it's for the Everton's new stadium.
Okay.
I don't know. David would know more about it rather than I. And Gary Rigby said, I saw Gog and Magog in Melbourne, Australia in a market, and someone told me about them and mentioned Liverpool without knowing I was from Liverpool. Go away, that's a cracker.
Isn't that great?
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
That's lovely. I wondered if you... Listen, shall we have a little break so I can make a cup of tea?
Yeah.
And have one of my inhalers. And I'll see you there in a moment, yeah.
We're in the vicinity of Great Howard Street. So who was Howard and why was he so great? Great Howard Street is so significant in the street names of Liverpool. Many people often ask who was Howard, whom the street is named after. In fact, John Howard was an 18th century prison reformer. So we have to go back to the 18th century and Liverpool privateers who plundered French ships during the latter part of the 18th century. They had taken then the French sailors back to Liverpool to be incarcerated in Tower Building, which was situated at the bottom of Water Street. It was from the Tower Building that the French prisoners actually built the now Grade 2 dock wall. He was so shocked, Howard, after seeing the squalor and deprivation of the French prisoners who were dying of disease because of the overpowering, cramped and squalid conditions while begging for food. He thought that the prisoners were being dehumanised and shouldn't be existing no better than animals. He therefore put forward a reform to build a prison right here where we're standing. The proposal was accepted and John Howard's reform of a public prison was going to be the first of its kind in Europe. The wall actually stretches right down to the pier head and beyond. And when the Napoleonic Wars were over, after the Duke of Wellington's victory at Waterloo in 1815, all French prisoners were released. The prison was never empty because a year later in 1816, it became the very first purpose-built public prison in Europe and was known as Liverpool's Borough Gaol. Here's a cracker for you. And people who have lived in the city seem to have bypassed this. And it's Sweeting Street off Castle Street. And it's one of the oldest streets in Liverpool. Why Sweeting Street? Has it anything to do with the import of sugar or an old sweet shop? No, it's got nothing at all to do with that. If you live in a drive, if you live in a close, if you live in a cul-de-sac, that's fine. But if you live in a street, you've got Mayor Sweeting to thank for that. In Liverpool, there was no street signs. So people, if they were by the castle, they knew that they were in Castle Street, or they knew that they were in Lord Street, or they knew that they were in Dale Street, or even Water Street for that matter. But any visitors coming into Liverpool, wherever they were standing, they didn't know what street they were in. In 1698, the city fathers then decided to name a street after the mayor at the time, Mayor Sweeting, because he was such a benevolent man. Mayor Sweeting, he wasn't egotistical, by the way. He just couldn't believe that they were actually going to name a street after him. So Sweeting himself asked the city fathers if they would sign the street. So every other street after Sweeting Street that was signed, the first one in Liverpool, it was a knock-on effect. Lord Street was signed, Dale Street was signed, Castle Street was signed, Water Street was signed, and every other street in Liverpool. So wherever you are in Liverpool, or any other city for that matter, and you're asking for a place, a certain place, either to get off a bus, ask a taxi driver, or even meeting a friend, and you'd always name a street. So we have to thank Mayor Sweeting for that privilege. It's not the most glamorous of streets, because there's no fancy shops, no fancy buildings, or no fancy anything for that matter, but what it has got, it's got history. This is Liverpool 1, the newest shopping centre of the city. But in 1841 stood on the John Lewis site one of our greatest buildings, built by John Cunningham for the sailors, and it was known as the Sailors' Home. Unfortunately, it was demolished in 1974. After 1974, nothing at all remained of the Sailors' Home, apart from this. Come and have a look. This is what I wanted to show you, and they are the Henry Pooley Gates, and aren't they just absolutely fantastic? And they're here to stay. When I say here to stay, we lost them for many years because they were actually found in the East Midlands, and it took years of campaigning to get them back. And got them back we did. If these beautiful gates have something to go by, what was the Sailors' Home? Well, from 1841, if you could imagine the sailors, whether they're in the Merchant Navy, the Royal Navy, or any other navy, going to war. Don't forget, we had the Crimean, we had the First World War, we had the Second World War, and these lads went through these gates. That's why we had to get them back. The Sailors' Home, I'll tell you what it was for. It was for sailors, no matter where they came from, all around the world, even local, even national, they all came here. And instead of paying for a hotel, they paid for cheap accommodation in this wonderful building. And there they could relate stories of far off lands. Yet, it was the Sailors' Home that gathered these lads together. As the great American writer Herman Melville of Moby Dick fame once said, sailors love Liverpool, for in Liverpool they find their paradise. And where are we? Paradise Street.
Great, that one.
Paradise Street. Love it.
Paradise Street, yeah.
I
Melville, he didn't like Liverpool, you know, he wrote Moby Dick.
Yeah, I believe, yeah, he was quite, he felt it quite dark and dangerous, didn't he?
Yeah, but so did another American, for Scarlet Letter, and he was a he was an American consul here, Nathaniel Hawthorne, and he said, I bump into ruffians. He said, I don't like it here, I bump into ruffians. God knows where he was living at the time.
He's just come to town on the wrong night.
Yeah. Edward says, I used to live in by Great Howard Street, just around the corner. Great Howard Street. The Anfield Road. Hi, Frankie. I'm here to learn history from Liverpool's top historian. And there's all of us all left for me. He's getting me drunk. And the Anfield says, good evening, Anthony Brown as well, who is an artist and is Liverpool's top artist. And loads of Scotches for you.
Oh, you know what, Anfield, thank you so much.
That's good, that, isn't it?
That's brilliant. That's fantastic.
Ruffians. That's what he said.
Ruffians, yeah.
Ruffians. But keep bumping into ruffians. I keep bumping into ruffians.
Yeah.
Mad.
There was
we'll carry on with this. This is good. This.
Oh, it's fantastic because it takes us off all over the city and beyond.
It does. It does. I don't know where I am now. Where am I? Oh, see the way it's on that? That's clever, aren't they? Not so clever.
Wow, that's St. George's Hall in the on the right-hand side.
Yeah, look at that. I just think that's when you look at it. Isn't that lovely?
That's just...
Paul, love the show, Frank, and always admired your work from the Tinkle. Isn't that lovely? That's smashing that. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And when you look at that, you just look at it. And you look at, like, you look at the hotel, don't you? Hang on, I wonder if I can do that.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can, let's see if I can do that. No. Yeah. No.
It's just beautiful what we've still got. St. George's Hall, the Sessions House.
See there, the hotel there, look.
Yeah. Oh.
No. That was built in connection with all the neoclassical stuff by Sir Alfred's Waterhouse.
Yeah.
And at the time, although it wasn't the biggest hotel in the world, it had the most rooms in the world. Crazy.
Yeah.
And yet, look how magnificent it is. Against St. George's Hall.
Yeah. Oh, I just love the eclectic mix of different cultures which come through in the architects.
Oh yeah.
Work, their vision.
Yeah.
And
you know what the beauty of it is? What it is you have the architects, the likes of you've got to understand about Harvey Lonsdale Elms. He was the protege of a certain person who I'll mention in a moment or two. And he won the design to build St. George's Hall. Now, when you look, before then, before St George's Hall, he built another building. He built a few buildings, especially houses down in, the south end of the city, Bruton Way.
Yeah.
And he was living there himself as well. And he built a little flat in, I always forget the name of this. Forget the name of it. But it's just off Short Street anyway. And he built a house there. And he used to overlook the building of this going on, because he could look down, like Renshaw Street over to St George's Hall, and he used to just walk over and go on site, Harvey Lonsdale Elms. Now the point is, he also designed the Collegiate up in Shore Street. He built that, the Collegiate, which is still going today, and they wanted to pull it down. They wanted to, and I was late working, I hope then. And I said, when I found out that they were wanting to pull it down, I shut down. And I said, you can't pull this down. I said, don't you know the significance of it? He went, no, what? I said, the fella who built it, Harvey Lonsdale Elms, also designed and built St George's Hall. And it's things like that that really annoy me.
Yeah.
Really annoy me. It's just like the Lyceum at the bottom of Bold Street.
Totally understand that.
When you look at it, look at that.
That is beautiful. And again, to me, it's like Middle Eastern, isn't it? It's just, wow. It's like, goes back to that line which we both heard and both liked during the culture year. And forgive me, I'll have to do some research and find out who it was. The World in One City.
Oh, that was a lady, yes, someone who said that. The World in One City.
But that's what we're looking at, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well before the culture thing was thought of.
Yeah.
Like this.
And do you see the church next to it?
Yes.
That's St. Augustine's. And they pulled that down. Now, that church has a significant, she was a benefactor, because the school St. Augustine, she was like the headmistress, and she was one of the greatest philanthropists, and her name was Jessie Crosby. And Crosby, Miss Crosby, she used to see all these kids, in the playgrounds or whatever, all running about in the Everton area.
Mm.
And they were caked in dirt. And they were in rags. That's the way it was. It was a very poor area, albeit that Everton is the most historical of the city. Everton, the area Everton, because it goes like from, Everton Road, say, right down to the Mersey, and it's the most historical part of the city. So anyway, she used to see all these kids, and she used to go out into the leafy suburbs, and go to these like posh houses and say, have you got any children's clothes that you're throwing out you don't need? And they used to give them all these clothes, these people. And she used to bring them to the school. And also what she did, she asked the utilities at the time, she said, can you put bats, not a swimming bath, but bats in her school? And they said no. So anyway, she went to council. She said, "Here, I need bats. These children are, they're not getting washed properly." And she got bats. So she used to bathe the kids. kids used to get bathed in hot water. Now, there was a fine example, like this little kid, running out, Billy, whatever his name was, playing about and whatever. And this boy, his little mate came for him, Billy in. And she said, no, he's playing out. So he said, oh, okay. So anyway, he went playing out. But Billy was being bathed, getting washed and everything. Even his hair, getting his hair washed. And then they put these clothes, like Jesse put these clothes on, that she picked up from the south end of Liverpool, Luton or somewhere. And don't forget, he was in rags. So he looked brand new. And he went home. And he just walked in. And, his mother just turned around and said, oh, Billy's playing out. I've just told, Johnny or whatever. And he said, it's me, Mum. She didn't recognise him because he looked that clean and with clothes. New clothes rather than the rags and whatever. Incredible. There was a book written about, I forget the name of it, something like, it was like a holy name, evangelical name. And Edward says, powerful building, St. George's Hall. But I want to show you another building, Edward, that they wanted to pull down also. And I mentioned this before. And that was the Lyceum. Now, when you look at the Lyceum, that was actually built. That was actually built in it opened its doors. It wasn't built in 1801. It was already built. So you're talking about the 1700s, and it opens its door in 1801. And again, the architect was John Foster Sr. As I said, he built some magnificent buildings. Magnificent. And they wanted to pull that down. Do you know the walkway in the top of Church Street?
Yeah.
You can go into that little precinct with the big glass dome, can't you?
Yeah. Clayton Square.
Yeah. Exactly. Clayton Square. They wanted to do exactly the same on that site. Of that, they wanted to pull down the Lyceum and put another one in its place. And I said, don't you know the history of this and where it was built and everything else? Don't you know the history of who used to go into that particular place, the Lyceum? The people that adorned its doors, went through its doors. Don't you know? And they never had a clue. You know what I mean? They just never had a clue. The likes of Melville, the likes of Nathaniel Hawthorne, the likes of Dickens, that everyone who came, even Wordsworth and Coleridge went in there, into the newsrooms. Just never had a clue. Most probably they didn't know who Coleridge was, or Nathaniel Hawthorne, or Melville. God blimey, it really annoys me, when you think that they wanted to pull that down. But anyway, it's never been pulled down, thank God.
No, thank God is right. And it just underlines that we do have our own people who are ignorant of what is important. But when you put that whole thing out to someone else to look after, who's got no connection to the city,
No.
then you're gonna face that devastation.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And when you just look at that, and when you look at the Lime Street station itself, that was the biggest expansion of a glass roof anywhere in the world at the time. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And this is the beauty of Liverpool.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's so bloody annoying that so many other buildings have gone. So many. But so many saved. And as you know, I've said this to you many times, they wanted to pull St. George's Hall down in 1984 to make a big car park for the people, because they really thought that was symbolic of capitalism.
Yeah.
This is the way they thought in the 80s in the city.
Yeah. Yeah. Inverted snobbery. It's just understanding the importance of certain places and buildings.
Yeah. And
we're not taught anything in school.
no.
I know some of our lovely chat, some of the people who are with us and listen to you every week, share the same thing as I did. When we went to school, history was not a subject that you were encouraged to be bothered about.
No.
And certainly we were never taught local history, which is the basis.
What we were taught was myths.
Yeah.
Absolute myths.
Myths. Yeah.
Surrounding Liverpool.
Yeah. And given that we went to Catholic schools, the level of mythology that we were taught there around religion is insane.
Yeah.
But history was always a thing I struggled to find more about. In the days when we were kids, there were many libraries, so you'd go, but you always needed someone to say, if you like that, check that book out. There's a book by so and so, read that.
And you know what? As you said there, about schools not being taught, especially local history. And you've only got to look, again, I'll show you. You've only got to look at that headline there. Hang on, let me take this down a minute. And when you see that headline, right, Prince, it's a shame I can't read. It's just right. Prince Rupert captures Liverpool for the Cavaliers. Know what I mean? It's got loads of history there. King John gives the Mersey fishing village his royal charter, because that's all we were in 1207, a little fishing village.
Yeah.
And it's got all that, and it gives you the story as well. Gives you the story about Prince Rupert.
Brilliant.
And it's good, just imagine getting them done and giving them to the schools so kids could have a look, bring them home and have a look.
Yeah. And the
I'm
mums.
going to try and get, if I get all right, I'm going to try and get some done for our chatters here.
Do you still have contacts at the universities where you taught?
No, I don't have any contact at all, no. Unfortunately.
It's just
No, I know at Prince's, where I could get them done. Because I used to get them done for my students, And cost money, they don't do it for free.
No.
But, I'd love to get them done for some of the chatters. Do you know what I'm doing? I'm drinking coffee, look. Coffee for Frank. First time.
I know. Yeah. Normally, I get that. Oh no, I'll have tea. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I never had a tea bag.
Oh man. Oh,
So-
your thing today. I tell you what, that's an episode of any soap opera in the world. That.
I'm that
Oh,
poor.
gee.
That poor, yeah. And Edward says, haunted though, isn't it, Frank St. George? Yeah. That experience I had too.
That sound in the cells.
Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was really horrible because, and that lad came flying out, only a young lad, he was only about 20. And he just flew out, white as a ghost. The irony. And he just flew out.
Yeah.
You can have experience. I was with Tony Snell. If you ever see Tony, you can ask him. We were right in the back. Now I'm talking below the cells that are there. We were actually below. We were right near the fountain, but we were the foundations. And me and Tony were walking out. We had one of them arc lights.
Yeah.
So we were talking, doing a little program. So I'm sure we were doing it for one of the DVDs as well. And it was where, I hate saying this, but people who were deemed as lunatics, because as you know, it became a lunatic asylum.
Yeah.
The site of St. George's Hall, because it was an infirmary.
Yeah.
And when it shut as an infirmary, it became a lunatic asylum.
Yeah.
And I hate saying lunatics, I really did, but
rather like Parliament.
yeah. And anyway, people were thrown in there into these dark cells, no light whatsoever. So if you were all right, if you were seen as, whatever, and you were thrown in, you did become a lunatic. Honestly, you must have done. You must have lost your marbles. In pitch black.
Jeez.
Pitch black. And noises going on. So we were talking, I was talking, Tony's going, yeah. He said, you could imagine, couldn't you? I said, yeah, I'm just staring, like scurrying of the vermin running around, going across your legs or whatever, on your back, on your shoulder, in your hair. So this is the way I was talking. Then all of a sudden, Anthony, the arc light went out. And it was pitch black and very, very frightening. Very frightening.
Wow.
And we were scared. And if you'd ever seen Tony, just say, do you ever remember doing it? And he'd say, yeah, it was terrifying. And I had a lighter then. And I pulled it and I lit the lighter to make our way out. And I had to keep putting the lighter off, because of the fuel. And then lighting it again and taking a few steps. And it was really frightening. Don't know what happened to them arc lights. but there was like, I'm not saying howling, but do you know the way, like wind,
Yeah.
like that? But it was more profound than that. It was weird. It was a weird sound. And we were just made up to get out of it. And it was frightening. Was frightening. So, that's St. George's Hall. So you're right, Edward. It is haunted. As Paul says, the cells underneath. We were right under the cells, Paul. Right underneath them. And Edward says, Central Library is good as well with the balcony on the roof. Yeah, it's beautiful, the Central Library. Beautiful. Cornelius Sherlock designed that. And when you look at Cornelius Sherlock, he went over all these architects, every single one of them. They all went over to ancient Greece and ancient Rome. They looked at all the temples and everything else that was built then. And that's where the design comes from, because you just don't have ancient Greece, but you also have ancient Rome. And I'll show this again, give you some idea. Where are we? Look at that. That was before. Thanks, Jay. All right, brilliant. See, I'm going to go back to this. I'm just going to add this a minute. I'm taking this off a minute. And I'm going to go back to St. George's Hall. And, oh no, I can't. Let's see. Right. St. George's Hall. And if you see the dome just behind St. George's Hall there, right, you've got a dome, it's rounded. Well, Cornelius Sherlock, he looked at the Pantheon in Rome, which is my favourite building than anywhere else in the world, the Pantheon. And he looked at the Pantheon, and he looked at it. He said, I'm going to build that. And that's a replica of the Pantheon's dome. And right here in the heart of Liverpool, because they're all ancient. And the likes of St. George's Hall itself, you've got the two great. You've got ancient Greece, which is the outside of it, the exterior, and the interior is ancient Rome. That's how great this architect was. Now, Harvey Lonsdale Elms died 7 years before the completion because he suffered from tuberculosis, the lad. And his physician sent him over to Jamaica, to the warm weather and whatever, and, to recuperate. But unfortunately, he died. And as I said, he was the protege of some great architect. Great he was. And he took over his design, and that was Professor Sir Charles Cockerell, who built some fantastic buildings in Liverpool. Wonderful buildings. So when you look at, the interior of St. George's Hall, he designed most of it, because what Harvey Lonsdale Elms wanted was a replica of Emperor Caracalla's steam baths in Rome. And that's what he got, and that's what he built, and it's just great. But when you look at this, just remove that, and when you look at this, there's the Liverpool Infirmary. You see? The Liverpool Infirmary.
Yeah.
there's the asylum, there's everything. And that's what they were saying when the railway came in 1830, and the likes of Lime Street was going to be built, Lime Street Station. They got John Foster Jr. in to design the outsides, and he gave fantastic what he gave. Romanesque again. And everybody copied. Everybody copied in and around the cities in this country.
Yeah.
Copied all this Romanesque stuff. Because he was the first to do it. Because we were the first to have it. And they said, we can't have lunatics running around when the people are getting off the train, because the only people who could afford to get onto trains were the wealthy, the very wealthy.
Yeah.
You see, so all that came down. All that came down. And then they held a competition then to build a big building. And Harvey Lonsdale Elms, and that was won the competition, and he designed St George's Hall. Now, what you've got there, which is fantastic, you can see Islington Market, right? Islington Market, and I'm going to surprise you there, and everybody else, because Islington Market, just by there was a little community, a very small community, and it was a Japanese community.
Wow.
A Japanese community. And why they were Japanese was they came up to see Daniel Brocklebank, who incidentally was an American, and he came over in 1774, the year of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. But he gets here because what he wanted a whaling company so that, you'd go out and catch whales and bring them back, which he did. Whales have come down the Mersey, albeit dead, but at least he came down the Mersey through Brocklebank. You've heard of Brocklebank Dock, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, it was named after him, Anthony. So anyway, the Japanese, who were also whalers, by the way,
yeah,
they came up to see the difference between the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere's whales, if there was any difference. And how the Norwegians captured the whales, because Brocklebank had to send for the Norwegians to go out and capture whales. So they went on the ships as well to see how they worked. And there was a little community around Islington Market.
Wow. That's amazing. Incredible. I'd never heard that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew the history and the connection of Norwegians to Liverpool, and also obviously the whaling shipping. But wow, I'd never heard of that.
And where you see Mill Place, that's where you've got the Walker Gallery today, because you have the Walker Gallery, and next to the Walker Gallery, like going up, you've got the Sessions House.
Yeah.
So Mill Place became Mill Lane. It's it's incredible. Incredible that little quarter. I love it. Just love it.
I love that. Yeah. What?
And look, I'm sorry. Go on.
I was just going to say what history of the city in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You've just unleashed on us. That is amazing. And this too, you and Jason. This is an incredible map.
And when you look at St. John's Church in Graveyard, look at all the graves.
Yeah.
And people, one of the myths, incidentally, was loads of people, and they even say it today. Wasn't St. George's Hall built back to front? Oh, no, because St. John's Church has always been there. So they couldn't like put the steps going down and the plateau into the churchyard because it was full of graves. It was still there, and it didn't come down until 1896, the church. And I said the plateau and the steps leading into St. George's Hall was for the benefit of the people getting off the trains, the rich people. It shows you, doesn't it? You know that the likes of, well thought out. What I'm trying to say is these architects, they gave their life for brilliant buildings. You know, the likes of Harvey Lonsdale Elms, who died unfortunately, never seen the completion of his design. You have the likes of John Foster Sr. and Jr., you know, giving all these fantastic buildings.
Yeah, gives their lives to it.
Oh, just imagine when I mentioned about exchange flags and what you've seen that was pulled down. People often said to me, was a bomb during the war? I said, no, it never come down until 1954. Almost 10 years after the war had ended.
Wow.
That came to build those to coincide with Martin's Bank. And they pulled that, I never showed you that really. Let's see if I can show you it. What's this here? There's the, look at that. Do you know where that is? Or where it was? Same stone as St. George's Hall. Yeah?
Yeah.
Same stone, so beautiful. I love the colour of St. George's Hall and the rest of the neoclassical buildings.
Yeah.
And do you know what that is? Think about it. Think about the arches on Lime Street Station now today. You know those lovely arches?
Yeah.
Then you've got the hotel now, haven't you? You know, right?
It's not Exchange Station, is it?
No. This is Lime Street Station.
That's Lime Street. Wow.
You know the arches?
Yeah.
Well, they went around the arches there on the station, and they came out and they went right along Lime Street.
Wow.
That was a colonnade. That was a colonnade in Lime Street. And they pulled it down. They pulled that colonnade down that John Foster Jr. designed and built to coincide with the arches on Lime Street Station that you can see today.
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
And the scale of it.
Oh, the scale of it was unbelievable. The scale of it was unbelievable. And they pulled it down. Just imagine that there, with the hotel through that big arch there.
Yeah.
And looking over at St. George's Hall. Just imagine that there today. So it wasn't just then. The 20th century they started vandalising. It was also in the 19th century as well. the 1800s. And Edward says, Everton 2 in Liverpool 1 is funny. And David says, Harvey Elms' house was on Bolt, that's it. I think it began with a B. I was going Benton Street, but thank you. He was just 26 years old when he designed St. George's Hall. David told you he's brilliant. We're doing a podcast, and hopefully that will get rid of all these effing myths about Liverpool and a lot of other history besides. And the likes of that. I'm just waiting for these results of what I'm going through at the moment. 26 years of age. Bolton Street, yeah. Bolton Street. Beautiful. I'll have to show you one day. You know, just off Renshaw Street.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful house, you know. And not many people, you know, they just walk past it.
So what is it, a private home now?
I don't know what it is. It could be flats for students, which wouldn't be surprising, would it? Lynn Ellis. Evening, Frank and Anthony. Hope you're both well. Thank you, Lynn.
Getting there. Thank you, Lynn. Hope you are too.
And Gary says, one of the first ferry services was in Liverpool, I believe, Monk's Ferry or something. Gary, it was the first ferry service in the world.
Yeah.
From Birkenhead Priory over. And they used to bring farmers over for the fairs and the markets in Liverpool. And how they did it was mad. They had a massive big rope, and it was just like a barge, so that they could fit animals on big barge. And they used to just pull along the rope and go across.
And the Priory is still open. You can still you can go in and visit. And then the other ferry which came, I think you'd know better than me, but in the 1800s was the ferry from Liverpool to Eastham Ferry.
Yeah, Eastham. Yeah. And also, when you look at it, you know, it's talking about the monks. They were very, very bright. I'll take this down. Hang on. I'll take this down. Take that down. And you know my castle there? I'm going to tell them here. Let's see. Am I going forward? Oh, God blimey. I'll have to go this way, won't I? Jesus. Right. Oh, things I do. Right, so think about the monks, and they were coming over.
Yeah.
And bringing these farmers over. And what they built inside the castle. Very clever they were. Obviously, no one would argue with the monks, the religion. They were very religious in those days. So they said to the sheriff, do us a favour. And he said, what? He said, can we build a bakery? He went, yeah, all right. So he built a bakery. Yeah, he built a bakery. Because they knew people would have had to eat. Right? Coming over, that is. Also, he said, is there any chance to do a little brewery? He said, what do you mean, a brewery? He said, to make mead. And he went, yeah, all right. So they actually built a bakery, and a. I just want to see something here. I've got to put it up. So they built a bakery and a brewery in the castle, and they knew that people would get drunk, and they knew that they'd have to have somewhere to stay. And they built the very first hostel where people could sleep. Charged them all, but it wasn't a big elaborate thing. It was hay and sticks,
Oh,
with like a
oh,
sheet over. So
oh,
like cow skin or whatever over to keep the rain off. And that was a hostel for the travellers to the fairs.
wow. Oh
And there
my.
it there it is.
Oh,
There it is. Great chase, isn't it? That's Harvey Lonsdale House.
wow.
Harvey Lonsdale Elms House. And I always show the frieze because the frieze is very similar to the frieze that was up in St. George's Hall. How about that?
That's just amazing. Oh, how wonderful it would be to walk in there
Yeah, yeah.
and see.
So I think the student accommodation now, which they usually do, but it's the same stone, Anthony,
Yeah,
as St. George's Hall.
wow.
I'd love to show it. I'll show it for next week.
Yeah,
I'll talk to Jason because I want John Foster Jr.'s home, which is on the grounds of the Anglican Cathedral.
yeah,
He built so he could be on the site when he was designing the actual cemetery,
yeah.
but also when he was designed and built Gambia Terrace. And that's another myth, another effing myth,
That's
because they say when Gambia Terrace was built, that it was named after the Gambia in Africa. There was no such place, first and foremost, as Gambia in Africa then, and no such country. And it was built and named after a British, I don't know whether he was a general or admiral, and his name was Gambier. And the proper name of Gambia Terrace is Gambier Terrace. Like French, but he wasn't French, he was British. You see what I mean? See how myths are, just, like as I said, built back to front St. George's Hall.
pop them as we go. But
Yeah.
I wondered if that by the door there, uh, would that be some kind of recognition, or
Which,
on the by the front door of the Harvey Lonsdale Elms' property? There's like a framed plaque.
oh yeah, that's it. That's what, that's what tells you about the thing. Yeah, little plaque. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Amazing,
And
Frank.
when you notice, it's Romanesque.
Yes,
With the Romanesque windows at the bottom.
yeah,
They're what you call Romanesque. Fantastic.
lovely.
And the ones next to it, well, both of them, on either side of them, they're Georgian buildings. So
Yeah,
they were built around 1700s or something like that, whatever they were, Georgian. So it'll be George the Third, 1770, something like that.
Just
1760, 1770.
when you look at buildings like that, it just makes you want to go in them, doesn't it? I
Yeah,
to go in there.
yeah,
God,
it would. It would make you want to go in. Clever Jason, isn't he? He's a very clever boy. And there's the market there, look, Islington Market.
wow.
Isn't that fantastic?
It is fantastic. Even more so now that you've told us the story of the area.
And do you know what went on the site of it when they got rid of it? Commutation Row.
Oh my word!
So they got rid of that, built Commutation Row, and Commutation Row was the only row of buildings that was exempt from window tax. So every window had windows to let light in, and it was the only one in the country, and it was the only one in the world to have one of the buildings Sir Edward Rushton acquired to open the blind school.
Yeah.
1794.
It's just.
And they knocked it down. I tried to tell them, don't knock it down. That's the significant. It's fallen down. It wasn't falling down. It was greed. It was fucking money again. Money. Shocking. Greed. So corrupt. And Edward says, are you getting the paranormal woman on? Yes, she couldn't. Did she come on? Yes, she's coming on again, getting the ufologist on as well. The Redbirds. Shall we do a GoFundMe to get you some tea bags, Frank? And the Redbird says, she's under Frank's bed, spooky. You know, the paranormal woman. I wish she was, actually. She's behind him. She's got cheeky gets, hasn't he? But she's a bit off topic. But anyone know anything about the mansion that used to be in the place of the Anglican Cathedral was built? This was from a few centuries. Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to believe what it was. That white mansion was how can I put this? It became the gardeners and the keepers of the cemeteries, that is, home, the white mansion. And they pulled it down to there, put the cathedral. So there you are, Paul. Beautiful building, by the way. But it was originally built for the merchants, very rich. They reckon it was Huskerson's old big mansion. They reckon, and I've got no right. There it is. There it is, there. Thank you. There it is for you, Paul. There it is, mate. And they reckon that it was Huskerson's, but it could have been anybody's, to be honest. Then it became, as I said, the fellow who looked after the cemetery after it was built by John Foster Jr. That's great, that, isn't it? That's absolutely brilliant. And they pulled it down. That would have been still there, you know. if the cathedral was built, on its original site where they wanted it. Gary Rigby, Robert Rigby's timber yard, interesting. And Paul says this city could have been like Rome. Well, we've got a little part of Rome, ancient Rome and ancient Greece. When you look around, William Brown Street.
Absolutely, and we go back to that, and I never lose that sense of awe when you walk from round the back of, or walk from Lime Street Station, get off a train, walk out, see that. It's just.
Do you know what? Ezra gave a lovely compliment there. A lot of out-of-towners haven't a clue about Liverpool. They need to watch this show. Thank you, Edward. Lovely comment. Thank you. Really pleased with it. And Gary says, Paul Edgiel, what about it? That's where I'm from. And he says, Edwards, I agree, but they have been brainwashed to hate Liverpool. You can't change their minds, no matter what you say. I've tried.
That's a sadness.
Yeah. And Paul says, the lost architecture of the station. Yeah. Yeah. That's what he's talking about, that GL up that way. A lot of people are set in their the way he sees it. And Paul says, Frank was talking about the lost architecture of Lime Street. Yep. Certainly was. Sadly, they are, Edwards, but hate and prejudice is uncalled for. And Paul says, I seen a pic years ago, but never found it anymore. Never found any more on it. Is that the one that we're talking about there, Paul? And he says, she is right. Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's the one. He's made up. That's the one. The mansion. Yeah, I'd like to say it was Huskerson, because I'll tell you full why I'd like it was. Where you can see in the background in the cemetery, you've got that sort of memorial, a little thing to Huskerson himself when he died in the railway.
Yeah.
So you've got that just there, and it's more or less right next to his house. So I'd like it to be William Huskerson's house. I really would. Most probably was, because you've got Huskerson Street, haven't you, as well? Very clever, the cemetery there.
Yeah.
If you look to the left, can you see like a thing going down, then down, then down again? Because when you look over properly, from the Anglican, that's where they used to bring the hearses down to the cemetery, to bury the people.
Yeah.
Like a little roadway.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And what you've got with those arches, they're mausoleums for the dead. Families.
Yeah. Well, it kind of looks like there's some sort of procession there in the middle of the picture, doesn't it?
Yeah. You're right in the middle there, yeah. most probably that little procession is going down to Uskerson's memorial.
Yeah.
There's a fella by the name of Captain Webb, and who's buried there, right?
Yeah.
But it's not the Captain Webb who swam the channel. It's not the Captain Webb who swam the channel. It's another fella. He's an American, the fella who's buried there. Fantastic. And Gary says, Christopher, you probably know the city. It's the ones that have never been who have the negative image of. They are, look. There it is. There it is. See how it goes down. And then, see, that's it. That's a proper photograph.
Oh, my word.
So that's where the hearses went down to get into the cemetery. Incredible, isn't it?
It is incredible, Frank.
And there's Gambier Terrace. And John Lennon used to live in Gambier Terrace, as you know.
He did. He did. Stuart Sutcliffe had a flat there. He shared. It's still a majestic looking building now. And
Beautiful to look. Beautiful. And Paul says, well, I didn't know they was for hearses, Frank. Grew up playing manhunt in there overnight as kids. You must have been brave as kids. It's great, though. See, everyone where you grow up as a playground. My playground was the likes of Stebble Fountain and, in and around St. George's Hall and the Plateau. And that was our playground. And we used to play football on the gravy, we used to call the gravy. And it was a graveyard, it was a very small graveyard. And he was buried there in this little graveyard, right next to where the Unite building is now today, top of Islington. Yeah, the top of William Brown Street, bottom of Islington. And he was buried there. See, there used to be a church called St. Anne's, you see. So they pulled it down, and the cemetery was left. And we used to play football on there because it was grass. Just grass. And we used to play football there. And little did I know who was buried there was a great hero of mine. One of Liverpool's heroes, not Liverpool Football Club. And this fella, he defied, how can I say this? He defied fear. That's the only way I can define it. He defied fear. And that was to cross an expanse of water. An expanse of water. Because even from the Montgolfier brothers in 1774, they would never go across an expanse of water in case they went down and in a balloon. And even his dad, James Sadler, he was the very first British aeronaut in a balloon. He wanted to cross an expanse of water, and he could never do it. He tried, and he always wanted to get from Liverpool, because he was a Scouser, from Liverpool to Dublin. And as he was getting older and older and older, he said, I've had enough. Gave up. But his son, took after him. And he was a balloonist. And he said, I'll do it for your dad. And his name was Wyndham Sadler, the son of James. And instead of going from Liverpool to Dublin, he actually went over to Dublin and went from Dublin to Liverpool. And he was the very first man. People say it was an Italian. It wasn't. It was this fella. To cross an expanse of water in April 1817. And that was him. That was Wyndham Sadler. He did it for his dad. And Paul says, we grew up down at Man Street, Carl Gardens, and the bottom of Warwick Street. Lived. So you're a South Ender, aren't you? I'm a North Ender. And Mark Simons. Isn't Doctor involved in the Ripper murders buried in St. James's Cemetery, Frank? James Maybrick? Yes. He's there. He's there. And his wife, Florence Maybrick, poisoned him. And Paul bombed houses and mansions where our playgrounds. Same as us. Same as us, Paul. Our playground was Botanic Park, Edgehill Station, hence why I'm upset about it. Think about this, Gary. Think about this. The Botanic Gardens was the very first botanical gardens in the entire world. And William Roscoe opened it. It was his idea to get all these wonderful exotic plants so that you, me, Anthony, and everybody else could look at them. Because we've never seen anything like them. And he opened up the Botanical Gardens, first in the world in 1801. And Edward says, did you know about the Luftwaffe plane shooting at a bus? Yeah, and I was going to speak. And there was a load of ladies going to work, munitions factory. And I was going along to speak. And the bus driver, I forget his name, the bus driver was dodging the bus. Yeah. Forget his name now. The bus driver. Taking the ladies to the munitions factory.
What a remarkable man.
Yeah, I forget his name. So I do remember Edward. Brilliant story. Might be in my paper. And Gary says, yeah, Paul, the Bondies. Paul was a hooligan. We don't have hooligans on the show, We don't have them on the shop, Paul. Look. God knows how many windows I smashed. See that? I bet you the people were still in the houses. Smashing it. Do you know what? We were like 18, 19, 20, and we played football in our square, right? So we're young men, right? So we're playing footy in the square. And sort of just hit the ball, right? and we smashed the window, back kitchen window, we smashed it, the ball went in there, and guess what? We all ran away, and obviously we ran away, we all, obviously the people who lived there knew us, you know, and they just shouted, you. So we had to go back, you know, cap and hands and everything, and apologise, and we got a fella by the name of, what's his name? Oh, his name came to me then. Someone Rigby. Anyway, we said to him, listen, because he used to go around fixing the windows. Because they were always getting smashed with all of us playing football, you know, both in the Crescent and in the Gardens. And, what was his name? Oh, he was a lovely man. And anyway, we used to shove up, give him the money. He used to buy the pane of window and putty and fix the windows in. But we all ran away. You know, all the big eye cases ran away. But we went back, couple of rounds, as I said. And Gary says, the Gardens are not maintained, no, Frank. Very sad. No, that's Botanical Gardens. No, they're not. Well, listen, boys, I've gone over time. Have you enjoyed it tonight, Tom?
I've loved it, Frank. I always do, but yeah, I really discovered some new things tonight that I'm gonna invest over our next cup of tea. I'll further inquire.
Yes.
Yeah.
As I said, I'll give you one of these.
That'd be brilliant. I would love it. Hopefully tomorrow you get sorted out with. Yeah, that's brilliant, Frank.
It's got I like this. It said 3 kills as sailors stormed the town hall. I was going to do that tonight, you see.
Yeah.
But it's a bit too late now.
Yeah.
Because they stormed the town hall. No sailors.
Yeah. Well,
because the merchants. I'm sorry. It's just like today, the Greens, Anthony.
Yeah.
These sailors, you know, worked hard and everything on the ships.
Yeah.
And the merchants decided to take like the equivalent then of 10 shillings away from them.
Yeah.
And that was hand to mouth.
Yeah.
And, you know, people lived hand to mouth. They went taking 10 bob off us. And it was very dangerous. It was dangerous things going away in the, you know, the 1700s.
Yeah, to be away for months.
Oh, shocking.
Their wives and the family who survive on the income.
Not only that, but the likes of the Yanks, they were there firing at us. Because the American War of Independence, and also the French were always having a go at us. Know what I mean? And it was very dangerous. And, you know, ships, flounders went down because they were all wooden ships, massive. Know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. You definitely have to dip into that then next time we're on, Frank.
Yes. No, we will, and it'll be good. It's not well, we'll be on next Wednesday. Well, it'll be see, it's these matches, you know, that are being played, the likes of the Champions League with these English teams left in it.
Well, you
so
know,
I might do it next Monday.
Whenever,
you know, the history show.
Yeah.
I might do it next Monday because of this bloody Champions League. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, it'll have to be.
Well, we'll be so. Yeah.
Christopher, finish off on these. I visit Liverpool, mainly the pubs and Anfield, but I always look up, says Christopher. Yeah, always look up. Cheers, fellas. Good night, says Gary.
Good night, Gary.
And Mark says, half of them bombings were caused by remote-controlled V2 doodle bugs invented by Werner von Braun, who, after the war, was taken to Alabama to design the moon rocket for NASA. Yep. And a few went to the Soviet Union as well. But it was the Soviets who got there first in space. And the very first satellite, the Sputnik. The Americans couldn't do it. And Paul says, pleasure, Frank and Tony, and everyone in chat.
Yeah.
And Edward says, thanks, Frank and Anthony.
Thanks, Edward.
And Edward says, Mark, was he a German? Yeah, he was a German. Von Braun. And Christopher. Night, Frank, Anthony, Jason, and everyone, and up the league winning Reds.
Good night, Christopher. Thank you.
And the Red Bears. None swore once, never mind, I'll make my money on your watch-along. Great show, catch you all next time. If anyone wants to look in tomorrow night, you might hear me swear. I've got the current issues tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's going on in the world and whatever. So that starts at 7 o'clock too.
Yeah.
It is Thursday tonight. Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday tonight, yeah.
And,
tomorrow, and then you film and
yeah, on the Saturday morning.
Saturday.
Sometimes that gets swore as well. I've only kept quiet. No, I haven't swore because of you, Anthony. Because I know Laney looks in. Don't like swearing in front of me. I'm a coward. And Mark Simons. Good night. God bless Frank and Anthony from sunny Gibraltar.
Oh, good night, Mark.
See, he's in sunny Gibraltar. That belongs to the Spanish, but he calls it British. Because there's a red telephone box in Gibraltar.
I did hear a rumour this week that your swear box was the size of a wheelie bin.
That's that red bird saying he spreads myths. The red bird spreads myths. So anyway, what we'll do for it'll have to be Monday if you don't mind.
You just let me know, or Chase will let me know.
It'll be Monday. Definitely be Monday.
I'm there on whatever night suits.
It'll be Monday, and because what I'll be doing, I'll have the history show. And I'll have a football show as well on the Tuesday. No, I won't. I don't know. And then I'll definitely have one on the Thursday. Next week a football show. And then the usual, that I do over the weekend and that. And it should be good. It should be good. All right, mate.
Hope all goes well tomorrow, Frank, with the medicine.
Yeah, so do I. I'm really annoyed, I really am annoyed. I don't know whether to go in, cause murder or what. I just don't know.
No.
You don't tell, people who are relying on prescription, the stuff, the medication. to say, yeah, it'll be out, knowing that it's not going to go out.
Yeah, it's scary.
It is. It is. I have to have them tonight, and I haven't got any. 3 sets of tablets tonight and 3 sets in the morning, 3 different ones. So that's 6 different tablets I have to take by the time I go to bed, when I'm in bed, and when I wake up in bed. To keep me going. But anyway, this has been good medication for me tonight, with all the wonderful chatters with yourself, Anthony.
Yeah.
And Jason. What a fella he is.
Jason. Yeah.
And it's just for me to say a big thank you to Gap Painting Services for sponsoring the Frank Carlyle Show. Please, whatever you do, please get them in. Do not struggle like I did. I struggled. I went back, broke my neck. I was very active. Remember, I was always very active.
Yeah.
And look at me now, all because falling back, painting a bloody seal. Don't struggle. See, I've always said that, through life we take things for granted because we always think like we're forever young, and we're not. Yeah. And once you get to a certain age, and you think that you can do everything, even when you're a bit older. Now, I did this when I was in my 30s, but it came on at a later date. And it's the way it is. And just saying, get gapping. Don't struggle, people. If you know someone, like they're older and they say, no, I'm thinking of painting the thing, just say, don't. Get gapping, please. And just tell them not to struggle. And so thank Gap Painting Services for sponsoring the Frank Carlyle Show. It's to say a big thank you to my wonderful, wonderful friend there, the great artist Anthony Brown. And to Jason, as you know, Anthony. And you can always find Anthony's stuff on Anthony Brown Art. It's on Instagram, Facebook, and you can Google for Anthony Brown Artist. Just Google him and see all his wonderful stuff. You might see a picture of me by him. And most importantly, besides Anthony and Jason and Gap, it's you out there. It's you lads and girls. You tune in and seem to enjoy it. You're the biggest, because if you're not there, it's not worth having a show. Thank you so much for joining Anthony and myself tonight.
Thank
and
you.
I'll see you all very soon on the History Show, which will be next Monday, 7 o'clock. But if you want to join me tomorrow night for the social non-current affairs, please join me. If you want to join me Saturday morning at 10:30 for the film and TV review, join me. If you want to join me on the watch along on Sunday, please do. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Good night, Anthony.
Good night, Frank. Good night, all. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. See you in the animal.